Think that you don't have enough time or money to start an Amazon FBA business? Now, the real killer of people achieving their dreams of that business that they want to start are poor time management, budgeting, and a dark hidden cost that, to be honest with you, nobody likes to talk about. And today, I'm going to be sharing exactly what it takes from a time and a cost perspective for you to start your Amazon FBA business. What this will be is a timeline and an investment that it takes to go from being where you are right now, thinking about starting an Amazon FBA business, ultimately to actually profiting from your Amazon FBA business. Now, this is going to break down when exactly you're going to need money within each phase, and more importantly, how much time you're going to need to put into your Amazon business in order to build it into something that's actually consistent and predictable. I'll start off with the financial investment. Now, some costs are going to vary depending on the actual product that you choose to move forward with. To give you some perspective, for my very first business, this product sells for under $20. I invested $10,000 to kickstart that business. Nowadays, I budget roughly around $20,000 in order to get a product off the ground. In fact, with Modern, we've invested about $30,000 in the launch of this product. It's a little bit different than our typical strategy. So for that reason, we put a little bit more money where our mouth is. Now, the reason why I'm willing to invest this type of money in new product launches is because I'm a firm believer of going big or go home, but transparently, you don't need to start there. A lot of people who I mentor and teach, they want to get their feet wet. So they start with as little as $5,000 at points. Now, this isn't going to give you a huge return, but it's going to allow you to understand the process, again, get your feet wet, and figure out if this is something that you actually think is worth pursuing for the long term. Now, personally, I spend a lot of my time doing product research and development. And for that reason, I invest a lot of emotion and passion into what I do. So when I am very bullish on a product, I will put as much money as I need to make it come to life. Because transparently, this isn't the biggest block that stops people from getting to where I am today. I have helped all walks of life get their Amazon FBA business off the ground. Single moms and dads, retirees, busy professionals, construction workers, self-taught entrepreneurs like myself, and even those who tried other e-commerce models like dropshipping and failed. And they all face the same problem. And that problem is they don't have enough time, or they're too busy to start their Amazon FBA business. And because they have such busy schedules, they want to understand before they even start the opportunity how much time it is going to take in order to get this off the ground. So right now, I'm going to take the time to break down exactly the time commitment that you need within each phase of getting your business off the ground. Now, this process of you being where you are right now, wanting to start this business, to you being on Amazon and actually making a profit is going to take you at least 6 months to get off the ground. Sometimes, if you're aggressive, if you work more hours than not, you can get this done sooner. But 6 months is a safe amount of time for you to get your business off the ground. Now, obviously, your product is your foundational piece to what's going to make you money, but you need to have infrastructure in order to do that. So what's going to take you just a single day is actually setting up your business, setting up your bank account, and setting up your seller account. I recommend doing this right out of the gate because once you have those 3 things in place, that is going to allow you to feel more committed that you are actually doing this thing. Now, obviously, we're launching products that are physical onto Amazon. So the first thing that you need to do is to find a product. And this process can take anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks, depending on how much time you actually put into the discovery process. Now, we have a multiple step process with that. Number 1 is discovery and actually finding ideas. Number 2 is product feasibility, understanding if the product is actually feasible in terms of demand, profit, and revenue. And the third is actually validating the product, making sure that it's not too competitive, but more importantly, making sure that you can actually create something unique enough that solves additional needs so that you can stand out amongst that competition. Now, what I always like to say is this product research is probably going to be your most variable time window. Like I said, it could take anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks, but transparently, I've had students find products in as little as 5 days. And the next thing that you need to do after you find your product is actually start reaching out to your supplier. In other words, this is the sourcing phase. You spend the first 2 weeks communicating with a handful of suppliers so that we can go ahead and order samples from the top suppliers that we choose. You typically want to order at least 3 samples. Samples can take anywhere between 2 or 3 weeks to arrive in your hand. So for that reason, that's our limbo stage. There isn't a lot that we can do. What I recommend is start doing even more product research and not putting all of your eggs in one basket. Once we get those samples in hand, we're going to verify the quality of the sample and verify if this product is something that we actually want to move forward with. And when we do, it's time to negotiate. Negotiations can take up to 2 weeks at times. Sometimes you might have already done negotiating before, and sometimes you might even get a cost that makes sense right at the gates. I've always tried to allot at least 2 weeks to get this done. Now, after you've done the negotiating, this is where you are going to go ahead and put your money where your mouth is. You're going to go ahead and put the deposit down, which is typically about 30%. And after you do that, you go into production. Production timelines, I've seen as low as 2 weeks, but more so if you're looking at a 4-week time window. But I always like to allot at least 6 weeks because we need an inspection service to come in there, and just coordinating timelines sometimes, again, creates a little bit more of a variable time window. After we go into production, after our product is inspected, we finally get to make the remaining balance by our deposit order. And then a freight forwarder comes and picks it up on our behalf and sends it into Amazon. This shipping time frame can take anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes sooner, depending on how busy the ports are. Now, I've launched over 50 products. We're approaching close to even 100 products at this time. And if there's one area that I would say would cause you to get toward that 8 months time frame, is really in the sampling phase. For whatever reason, you receive your product and it's not of quality, and or it's not produced the way that it needs to be produced, as you can imagine, you're going to want to resample that product and or put yourself back in the product research phase. And for that reason, it can really delay you anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks. In other words, 1 to 2 months. Now let's go ahead and let's talk about the launch and the marketing of our product on Amazon. During the shipping phase, we'll have a window of about 4 to 6 weeks until our product becomes available at Amazon. Don't utilize this time to twiddle your fingers and just wait for your product to come in. Utilize this time to set yourself up for a successful launch. So like I mentioned before, I live by the philosophy of getting 1% better every single day. There's this thing in finance called compounding interest, and it's the exact same thing when you can consistently put work in and day out. What will happen is your efforts are going to compound over time, and you're going to build even more momentum. You're going to become even smarter because something that you may not have realized yesterday, you're going to realize the next day. So consistency is important. Even if that means putting in 30 minutes, an hour every single day, it will make all of the difference. Now, if you're saying to yourself, I don't have an hour in the day, this is an exercise that I want you to go through. Every single day for the next week, jot down every task that you do. When you wake up, if you have a morning routine, when you're at work, when your lunch breaks are, when you're sitting down watching Netflix. Take note of the things that you know you wouldn't be able to get out of. In other words, your morning routine. That's probably something that you want to stay consistent with, and therefore you don't want to sacrifice that for the sake of your business. Your work schedule. Again, something that you probably can't get away from, hopefully maybe a couple years after you launch your Amazon FBA business. But how about your breaks? I had an hour-long break every single day that I would go into the lunchroom, eat my lunch, and do product research. I sat down every single night and watched 2 hours of Netflix before I went to bed. You better believe I'm converting at least one of those hours, if not 2 of those hours, into my Amazon FBA business. But again, all that it takes is 1 hour per day, 5 days a week, to get your business off the ground. This is hands down the easiest thing that you can do, and it starts with a self-realization exercise to figure out that you actually have more time than you say. After that, work with a to-do list. Put things in your calendar and make sure that you commit to the hours that you're committing into your business. And then next thing you know, your product is going to be ready to be launched on Amazon. So now you know the timeline that it takes to go from 0 to hero, from idea to profit in your Amazon FBA business. And after you launch your business, there are going to be so many different ways for you to optimize your time. If you're interested, I have created a video on the 7 best AI tools in order to run your Amazon FBA business. So just click the video on the screen to watch, and we'll see you guys there.